Greetings folks, Performance Reviews, where I give you the review from the technician's point of view. And today I have the V11 from Dyson, or the SV15, which means it's the second version of the V11. Now, if you are expecting an Instagram influencer, stay-at-home mom review, giving this flying colors, you're probably not going to find that on my channel at all. I would encourage you to look at my back catalog. I am an experienced repair technician who does vacuum reviews. I have a house that's over 5,000 square feet that we test our machines on for extended periods of time. So you're going to find a lot of good information in this review. I will also go in the shop and disassemble and talk about the technical aspects of this machine as well. I'm going to give you all the information in this video to make a very informed purchase, and I will also offer a few other alternatives in the same price point as the Dyson V11. Now, for many of you, this will be the first video you will have seen on my channel because you are looking at the Dyson V11, and we want to find out if it is a viable option in the 2020 holiday season. So we're going to put it through its usual paces. I'm going to test the suction, and we're going to go through the house and kind of explain what it's like to clean with this, why you may or may not choose this machine over some of the other cordless options. The market is very saturated right now with cordless machines. So what sets this machine apart? Well, it's made by Dyson and it has a lot of advertising. And a lot of people perceive Dyson as a high-end brand. Now, if we go into the vacuum industry and you start talking to people who repair vacuums, fix vacuums, and design vacuums, you're going to find a different story when they're talking about Dyson. They're going to tell you that Dyson is known for cheaply constructed, poorly lasting products that really are average or subpar performers in terms of pickup ability, which is not the glowing image that we see on a lot of social media influencers when they talk about Dyson. Now, if you have nothing else to compare this to, I could see where you could get that opinion, especially if the only vacuums you've ever seen come from Target or Walmart. However, I have seen more vacuums on my bench in a day than most people will see in a lifetime, so my opinion's a little bit different. I also came onto the scene before Dyson came into the US, so I kind of expect a higher level of performance from my vacuums than a lot of people do. So let's explore the V11 and what it's like to use. So I just caught this clip naturally since I was turning the camera off and setting up for another shot, but it emphasized a point perfectly for me, which is that the V11 does not stay up by itself, where most machines, you know, they'll just stay up by themselves. The V11 does not. And despite having this rubber backing on here, it has a tendency to fall. Now, I hope my V11 is okay because I would hate to have to go buy another one for a review. All right, it's A-okay. I want to talk about the size of the V11, and this is again, the standard V11. This is not the Asian market one that's shrunken. This is not the obese, larger model. This is the standard model, and it is very large. To give you an idea of the exact size of this, I've got in front of this LG, and you can see you can't even see the LG, nor can you really see the cordless Henry in front of it. And to give you exact measurements out there, I have a tape measure here. The length of this thing is about 14.5 inches, or 37 centimeters. To give you an idea, the width of the height of this thing, it's about 10 inches, or 26 centimeters. So really give you an idea. And comparing that to something like this, which again, Dyson has made vacuums this size, I'm just happy to use this as an example, really dwarfs the machine. Really makes this look small, and this is not particularly a small handheld. It also makes cordless Henry look really small as well. So just understand the size of this thing. It is a two-handed operation when you use it. So the parts where the size really comes into play is when you're trying not to use the tools and getting into an area like this where you see it just simply will not fit because it is too big. Where a lot of cordless machines will just get in there, or your traditional vacuum with the hose will just get in something like that. So keep that in mind when you plan on using this to do other things other than floor cleaning. Let's talk about low places. Now, in my stick vacuums behind the hype video, I talk about this in great detail. Basically, this flops around, which means when you want to go under something, you really can't because, well, it does that. So it makes, even though the Dyson's capable of fitting in there, this head flopping around makes it really hard to clean. So that's a no-go. As you can see, the felt weight of the Dyson in hand is about 4 pounds and some change. To put that into perspective, most vacuums have a felt weight of about 1 pound or 2. So about twice as much, if not 4 times as much felt weight in the hand than some of the other options. Hey, welcome to the In the Shop section where we're going to just talk about the bits and technical details of the Dyson. Some of the bad, the good, the ugly with the Dyson V11. And I really find this is probably the most useful part in this review is kind of the technical. How do you maintain it? What's in there? So the first thing I'm going to point out is the way that the cyclone is made. Let's see if the camera will focus. The way this cyclone is made, it can get blocked real easy. It's really a narrow path, especially when we compare it to a standard vacuum fitting. You can just see how anemic that path is. Now, it is easy enough for the user to get to, so I give them that. And they do have a blockage sensor, so I like that, but just something to keep in mind. The other thing is this is a multi-cyclonic machine, which means this will have to be taken apart and cleaned out probably every 1 to 2 years on that. I do like that the clear bin comes off. The squeegee on the bin is very nice. This helps clean the shroud and helps kind of keep airflow a little bit on the steady of this particular machine. One other criticism I would have, and I'll try to roll in the clip here, is the expected lifespan. This machine's made in Malaysia, and Dyson themselves say it will last 2 to 4 years. They say the battery might last longer, but 2 to 4 years in the whole machine. And I think it is a little pricey to replace every 2 to 4 years, especially with other machines in the price point having like 10-year warranties and 5-year warranties. And some of them even have projected lifespans of 20 years in this price point, so keep that in mind. Now, when we talk about the nozzles, I will say they do make these pretty easy for most consumers to maintain. You can take the brush roller in and out of both of these really easy, which I think is a big plus. Though some of these parts are not always available or easily found, just kind of a note with that. Again, that's kind of nice. Now, one criticism I have of this is there is no belt on here. There's no geared belt or really protection on this. So when you get this thing caught in something, what that means is it puts extra stress directly into the motor and into all the components. So what we've seen, Becco1987 saw this, and Roger saw this as well. Ibaziak, who are 2 other well-known YouTubers, found that these pieces in here can crack sometimes. And one of them, it was only a month or so when it happened. The other, it was like 2 months. So it's something to be conscious of on here. And you can see that this is kind of flimsy in here. Now, a big criticism I have of this is, yes, there are wheels here, but you're really putting the pressure on here. So it would be really nice if they had put some wheels here and just a traditional squeegee rather than this fat piece that looked like it came from an adult bookshop on there as well. Also would have been nice to see some slightly bigger wheels there. These are really, really small and anemic, to give you an idea. This next to my screwdriver, how small they are. The gate, I think, is a great idea. However, it doesn't seem to negate a height adjustment on here. It helps, but it doesn't keep it from being hard to push, unfortunately, when you talk about soft carpet. So that's an issue with that. Of course, there is one other technical aspect I want to talk about. I think the wand will aspect it real well. Is you see here, this is not your traditional tool set or wand. we can see where the fitting is much narrower. What this does is it restricts airflow, and now the machine doesn't have a whole lot of airflow, so they can get away with that. But it creates a point where stuff can get stuck and clogged real easy. So keep that in mind. That's something that happens with all these new style fittings that Dyson has. One of the things I'm able to do is with a working vacuum gauge, I'm able to test the suction of the Dyson. This is the first thing I'm doing before any filters get damaged or anything like that. So we're going to test it on its highest setting. About 19 working and about 60 sealed, which is pretty darn low if we were talking about a plug-in vacuum, so it's not a replacement for a plug-in vacuum, but it's lower than something like a Henry Cordless. It's lower than some of the Hoovers on the market. It's a lot lower than something like the LG A9. So the Dyson V11 doesn't have the most suction for a cordless vacuum, despite other people making that claim. Alright, we're going to talk about emptying the V11. Now with the normal vacuum, just take the bag, throw it away, go put a new one in. There isn't a vacuum out there that the bags aren't under 30 bucks for a year's worth of bags. So the V11's bin capacity is surprisingly smaller than you would think. For it being as bulky as it is, it really doesn't hold that much. In fact, it really seems on par with some of the smaller models like the V8 or the LG A9. Now, herein lies one of the problems with this. So even after emptying it, I can't get the hair up there. So I'm going to have to hit the second tab to really get it fully cleaned out. This is just stuff for my pickup test. This isn't even from cleaning my house. During this review, I've had to empty it 3 times. So bin capacity, despite having all this bulk, is pretty small still. Filter looks good though. Alright folks, we are going to attempt to smoke test the Dyson. Again, this is not a particle counter test. This is not a scientific test. Though because this is popular on YouTube, we are going to do it. I have to say, I'm quite satisfied with those results. I really wish I had a particle counter to test this. Definitely go to our Patreon if you like what we're doing. The looseness of this is not a problem when it's brand new, but I wonder if this will be a problem in the future in terms of a sealed unit. We have our usual pickup test on hard floor, which is breakfast cereal, cat litter, flour, and fresh pet hair. Well, as you can see, it's snow plowed some of the cat litter around behind it because the brush does not spin off on this nozzle. I feel a little flour too. It picked up the animal hair. It did toss one little piece aside again. Not a huge deal, but the flour is a big deal. Now, we could try this with the gates open or closed and see if it does any better. I use this on the highest setting, of course. The lower setting's not going to do any better if it's not doing this on high. And you can see where it really snow plowed some of that stuff on the back of the nozzle. I want to explain why those results happen with the Dyson. I have several other nozzles from other manufacturers here. And you notice they all have one thing in common behind them. They all have a squeegee or a piece of felt, or sometimes 2 squeegees. They also all have fairly big wheels in the rear as well to keep them level. This is very minute point of contact on these rear wheels of this. And again, this drags along on the floor, which doesn't create a good seal, at least on hard floor. If they had just replaced this with a squeegee and put some slightly bigger wheels, you see even on this cordless vacuum, they're almost twice the size of this. You would see much better results with a traditional rear squeegee, and the ability to shut the roller off. If the brush roller shut off, it wouldn't be scattering as much, which could concentrate suction, which is traditionally what's done on vacuums. The reason they leave it on is because the machine is underpowered. It needs some of this agitation to help throw stuff in the machine. At least that's the theory on the lower settings. So I want to talk about soft carpet in this head. I have the gate all the way open. When you want to use it on boost or the eco setting, really, it's really hard to push because there's no traditional height adjustment. As I talked about earlier, there's not wheels in the back really to support the head. So what happens is it's very hard to push. But sometimes, as you can see there, the head slows down and the motor protection can even kick in like that. So it really struggles on soft carpet. So if you have soft carpet, I'm going to tell you right away, I would look at other products. We're going to do a pickup test on carpet here. We're going to have the machine on high with the gates open, which is the only way I can push it somewhat on my soft carpet. Well, that was interesting. First of all, the head lifted up partially on that one back stroke. Oops. So going down to what we see, let's first see if there's any embedded animal hair. I'll rip a piece of my carpet up. It's actually cat litter. It actually snowplowed all the way to here. And we have a little bit of flour, a little bit of animal hair there. And we have some of the breakfast cereal. It really does clean, the edge cleaning on this unit is not the best for whatever reason. It really snugs the roller up to the edge, so I don't know why that is, but the edge cleaning is pretty bad on this. Maybe if these were bigger or something. Well, in conclusion, what do I think of the V11 or the SV15? I think the interchangeable battery is a great add-on for Dyson. I don't think that this unit has any significant advantages over any other cordless machines in the market, specifically over some of their lesser machines in the lineup. I will say, if you get this on sale, many years in the future, and you find this at really, really deep discounts, we're talking like the $200 range, yeah, I would say all these things you could put up with. But in the range of which this retails currently, even the price I got it from at Costco, I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. Again, I don't see any advantage over its competitors, and there are a lot of competitors these days. So with all that being said, thanks for watching, folks. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and I'm going to list a link to other cordless vacuums I've tested. It's worth a look if you're looking at this machine too. At least see what the competition is and see what I'm talking about in terms of its competitors. Have yourself a wonderful day. Two cordless vacuums here. Oh, there comes the dog.